On the air first and third Sunday, 7 p.m., W5FC.
KI6LZQ.
FC.
I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin tonight's Skynet? This is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray. My name is Tom. I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign break and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? Please come now. This is a directed net, so please do not transmit without direction from World Net Control, and that would be me, and stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on this frequency. In case you hadn't noticed, it's 146.880 megahertz with a tail tone of 110.9er. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topic, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Go to w5fc.org right now for a complete list, and remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. This net is 90 minutes long and is structured in several parts. Our general announcements: Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, where and when you can look through a telescope, National Space Society events and activities, discussion topic of the evening, what you can see in the sky tonight, a featured constellation or object or topic, recent astronomical discoveries, space exploration and space history, visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, and the astronomical Q&A round and 73 round. We may or may not, we probably won't get to all of those, but we will get to most of them. All amateurs are licensed to transmit on this frequency are welcome to participate. So we're going to start with low power and short time check-ins. Please come now with your call sign name, where you're transmitting from. Let me know if you're low power or short time. Please come now. Low power, short time only.
Kilo Echo 5, Romeo, 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 short time, Highland Park.
For Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony, portable in East Dallas.
Alpha Bravo Alpha, Andre in Dallas, low power.
Golf, Uniform Sierra, Gus, far northeast Dallas, 1-1.
Let me get those check-ins. I've got KF5RRR. I think that's Trevor. He never identifies himself. Short time, Highland Park. NT5TM, Tony. Portable East Dallas, got you checked in. N5ABA, Andre with a good call sign. Dallas, low power. W5GUS, Gus, Northeast Dallas, 1-1. Any additional low power short time, please come now.
Kilo 5, Golf Hotel Alpha, James and Mansfield, short time.
Let me get one of two check-ins, K5GHA, James in Mansfield, short time. There was another station with no audio. You want to try one more time?
Golf 5 Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton.
WVL, James in Carrollton. Gotcha. Any other low power short time? Come now. Then we go to general check-ins, RF only. Please come with your call sign name and your location. Phonetically, please. Just the call sign, of course.
This is November 5, Bravo, Bravo. Bravo, India, Lima, Lima, in Irving. This is Kilo Golf 5, Papa, Mike in Richardson.
Kilo Golf 5, Quebec, X-Ray, India, Glen, and Rockwall.
November 5, Whiskey Oscar India, William and Allen.
This is Kilo 5 Alpha November Papa, Allen in Dallas.
This is Kilo Charlie 5, Oscar Zulu Tango, Carolyn and Louisville.
Yes. Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Delta India Mike, Tyler and Denton.
This is Kilo 5, Kilo Tango X-Ray, Kelly in Quinlan.
Golf 5, Vector Juliet Papa, Robert Richardson. Delta 0, Oscar X-Ray Charlie, Carter in Dallas.
All right, got a number of check-ins. Let me get everybody checked in. Pandemonium here at the QTH. N5BB, Bill Irving. KG5P, Mike and Richardson, our speaker tonight. KG5QXI, Glenn Rockwall. N5WOI, William Allen. K5ANP, Allen Dallas. KC50ZT, Miss Carolyn Louisville. K5ZBL, Bill Farmers Branch. Good seeing you today. KG5DIM, Tyler and Denton, welcome back. K5KTX, Miss Kelly and Quinlan. KG5VJP, Robert in Richardson. And KD0OXC, Carter in Dallas. I'll take additional check-ins. Please come now.
This is Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brendan DeSoto.
This Whiskey 5, Echo Bravo Bravo, David in Dallas.
F5 VAV Cody Mesquite.
We got three more. WV5OZL, Miss Brenda DeSoto. W5EVV, David, Dallas. K5, Victor Alpha, Victor, Cody, and Mesquite. Any additional RF before I move elsewhere? Please come now. Hearing none. Additional opportunities later on in the net, so if you're bashful and have not checked in, you can do so at another time later on in the net. I will go ahead and go to Echolink. Echolink check-ins, I will do voice and I will do chat. Either way, we'll give you extra time. So if you're on Echolink, please come with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from. That would be your QTH.
Kilo Golf 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey J near Weatherford.
Kilo Bravo 5 Romeo Hotel Echo Brian, Fort Worth.
November 5, Yankee Echo Oscar. This is Stephen, San Antonio.
Let's see, I've got 4 on that. KG5ZCT, Zulu Charlie Tango. David in Frisco, I've got you over on the chat. KG5BZWJ near Weatherford. KB5RAG, Brian in Fort Worth. N5YEO, Stephen in San Antonio, one of our longtime regulars. Any additional Echolink, please come out. Hearing none, I'll go ahead and acknowledge over on Facebook. You may have already checked in if you're ham. Otherwise, I'll just acknowledge you, Philip and Bill B. I've got you, not the other Bill, a different Bill. I got you both checked in. Very good. So Philip and Bill. So I got you checked in as well. Okay, I'll take check-ins any mode. Please come now with your call sign, your name, and where you're transmitting from. No problem. We've got 27 check-ins. It's very, very healthy check-in this evening. We'll go ahead and start with the net. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? They can be ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams. Please come now with your call sign.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo.
Very good. We'll start with those two. NT5TM. Tony, you're first, and then Bill, N5BB after that. NT5TM, go ahead.
Thank you, Tom. I know you'll talk more about our exciting and marvelous Afterglow movie, but I would like to mention a couple of other things. The Dallas Amateur Radio Club is looking for help with Moon Day. That's a week from today at the Frontiers of Flight Museum near but not at Dallas Love Field. Spoke about this at some length during TechNet, but all I'll say tonight is that we have more information at W5FC.org, including a sign-up form. This is a great chance to make friends and influence people. There are hundreds and hundreds of young folks who might be interested in amateur radio if only they knew how much fun we have. This is your chance to go out there and meet them. Please head out to W5FC.org and sign up for Moon Day. Of course, we do have other activities coming up, most especially an Afterglow movie tonight. Please have a look at W5FC.org for more details about our announcements and activities. This is NT5TM.
Good, thank you, Tony. Anybody need any fills or questions for Tony? Please come out. All right, let's move on. N5BB. Bill, go ahead with your announcement.
Yes, this is N5BB. 3 weeks from today, the Austin Amateur Radio Club holds the Austin Summerfest in Austin. So this is to tell you the truth, it's not really the Amateur Radio Club. It's just a local event in Austin. So this might be the last Summerfest unless somebody replaces the current manager of it who is retiring, I believe. That's the rumor I heard. So this is 3 weeks from last night and this morning, August the 3rd evening and August the 4th during the day in Austin. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, N5BB at ARRL.net. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Bill. Anyone need any fills? This is KE5ICX on net control for tonight's Skynet. Let's go ahead and move on. And just remember, if you would like to know about all of the various activities going on with the W5FC repeater as well as the DARC Amateur Radio Club, go to W5FC.org. You'll find a very good website with all of the details there. So, let's see. This is the night of nets, and tonight at 10:30 after this net, almost immediately after this net, we will be doing a movie called Ice. Is that what it is? I think it is. Yeah, Ice Planet from 2001. Here's the storyline for it. Luma looked at a roadmap blankly. As the commander of the warship Magellan, it was his job to make sure they didn't get lost. But it didn't come as a surprise that they were lost. He also had a weighty 500-page 3-ring secret mission binder containing his overly elaborate orders to save the Earth from alien domination, as well as how to not overcook risotto. Luma tossed the map and binder aside. Shooting dim-witted aliens was a lot easier than finding a missing muffler for an ancient spaceship, he thought. Confused? You haven't seen the half of it. When we watched Ice Planet from the year 2001. Yeah, I know, not that 2001. That's just when this movie came out. It's science fiction by committee on the next Afterglow Movie tonight at 10:30 p.m. If you'd like to join in on the fun, and I put that in quotes, you can always join the Afterglow Movie Facebook page. If you are shy about doing that, you can go ahead and send me an email, Kilo Echo 5 India Charlie X-Ray, KE5ICX at yahoo.com right now, and tell me you would like to know what each week's movie is. And I'll send you the link, and maybe the movie link too, if it's available. Because a lot of this stuff is available online as public domain. So, there you go. Does anyone need any fills? Let's go to the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, where and when you can look through a telescope. Do we have anyone from TAS would like to talk about where you can go and see stuff through a telescope this evening, or anything about the TAS Society in general? Please come down.
KTX.
Right, K5KTX, Miss Kelly. Yeah, you did check in. You're number 16. Go ahead with your announcement about TAS. Go ahead.
This is K5KTX, and the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas has their monthly meetings on the fourth Friday of every month, except for November, which is the third Friday due to Thanksgiving, and there's usually not a meeting in December. The meetings are held at the University of Texas at Dallas campus in Richardson. The meeting begins at 7:30 p.m. in the Science Learning Center building, which is SLC Sierra Lima Charlie on the campus map. The best place to park is in Lot H, where we've been given permission to park in orange, gold, or green spaces between 6:30 and 10:30 p.m. You can park anywhere else as long as you choose a green painted space. Otherwise, you risk getting a ticket. The meeting includes programs presented by members or guest speakers and a slideshow of the current constellation of the month. So, the meeting this month is July the 27th. Again, that starts at 7:30 p.m. And our speaker is our own Chaz Havey, KF5JHA, who wasn't sure if he was going to make it on tonight because he has a star party up at Lake Ray Roberts, but he will have the special moon rocks, the ones that were brought back from the Apollo missions. He will have those on hand, and he will be talking about that, and that's always a very interesting presentation. In addition to the comedic constellation of the month that he and Dennis do. So don't miss that, July the 27th at 7:30 p.m., Science Learning Center at the University of Texas at Dallas. The Astronomical Society also hosts observing parties every Saturday night beginning at sunset. And each week is a different location for observing, so make sure you get the complete details for the Saturday night you wish to attend. You can go to texasastro.org, click on the calendar tab up at the top, and you can get all the details for all of the events coming up. Tonight, the star party is at Frisco Commons Park, which is in Frisco. And I've not been able to get any information about an update, but I'm assuming that it's a go for tonight. Tonight's weather was supposed to be pretty good. And, of course, for the next several weeks, the big focus will be on Mars as we get close to the closest approach of Mars since 2003. And so if you can get out to one of these, this would be a great opportunity to get some really good looks at Mars. And just to give you a rundown of all the other ones, the third Saturday is at J.W. Williams Park in Cedar Hill. Fourth Saturday is at Lakeshore Park in Rockwall. And then back to the first Saturday of the month is at Spring Park in Garland. Then a couple of other events that you will want to know about if you can't make it to any of these is of the 20th, so that's a week, less than a week, next Friday night at the Farmers Branch Historical Park, which is a really nice facility for a star party. Farmers Branch Historical Park, there will be a star party, and it begins at 7 o'clock p.m. until 11 p.m. And on Monday, July the 30th, we will have a Mars opposition viewing event at Brookhaven College in Farmers Branch. It will be from 9 p.m. until 11 p.m., and they will be setting up between buildings K and X, that's Kilo and X-ray, in order to view Mars. And if the weather does not work out, I believe the backup date is July 31st and August the 1st in case of cloudy skies. So if you do have a telescope, definitely want to get out and try to take a look at Mars, or you can join us at one of these events. And that's all I've got. This is K5KTX.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. And this is KE5I6, net control for tonight. Skynet. Does anybody need any fills? Please come out. We've got additional check-in. Well, someone over on the Facebook stream. We've got Stephen. He's checked in. We got you, Stephen MM. Let's see. Any additional check-ins, please come out.
Copy KG5 TNF. I'm pretty far out.
KG5TNS, I've got a good copy on you. Go ahead and give me your name and where you're located. You got a little bit of static, but you're very readable. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm headed into town further. I may get a little weak here, but KG5 TNF Mobile, Johnny from Garland, out in Texas.
You faded a little bit, but we got you. Johnny in Garland and your mobile, KG5TNS. Great. Glad to have you aboard. Let's see here. I've got N5IMS, India Mike Sierra. That is, let's see, JJ, and he's over in Carrollton. I've got you checked in over on Echolink. Okay, let's move on to the meat of the whole thing, and that is tonight's discussion topic. Mike, KG5P, volunteered to tell us about astronomical parallax. So, Mike, go ahead, and if you don't mind, during your presentation, if you let us know which photo we're doing, and I will add it to the stream because I won't be sure. So it's in the order that you gave it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, even though the titles may not be exactly right. So, Mike, KG5P, my alternate net control this evening, go ahead with your presentation on astronomical parallax.
Okay, very good, Tom. Before I get started, I'd really like to thank Tom, KE5ICX, for providing this opportunity for me to talk about things astronomical, which I dearly love. Okay, I've also prepared some visuals, and if at all possible, and you're in the position to be able to do it, if you can watch Tom's stream on the Facebook page or on the W5FC.org website, we have the visuals, and it'd be very difficult to do this without the visuals, especially if this is new material. So if you can at all, and I'll go through the visuals in the order that I sent them to Tom. Okay, the reason that I thought about doing this was a couple of weeks ago we talked about the misty objects and how they were basically the distance was determined using Cepheid variables. And to give kind of a recap on that, the Cepheid variables are variable stars of a certain type that tend to pulsate. That's why they're called variable stars. And an astronomer named Henrietta Leavitt back in 1905 determined a relationship between their intrinsic brightness and their pulsation period. And from there she determined that you could know the true luminosity by observing the pulsation period and therefore in turn you could determine its distance by comparing the known luminosity to its observed brightness. There's another type of variable star which is totally different chemistry and physics, but it's used sort of in the same way, called the RR Lyrae. There are also type 1A supernovas that can be used to determine distance, but the trouble with that particular phenomena is that they occur, and if you miss it, they're very rare, first of all, and if you do miss it, then you missed it. And the last one that's used is the redshift for the really distant objects. And I'm not going to get into that tonight, but that's sort of the mission, one of the missions of the James Webb Telescope. Right now, I guess they're going to send that up in about 4 years. So what I'll talk about tonight is the first usable, it's called the parallax method, and that uses simple triangulation. Now I have to warn you that we'll have a little math involved, and like old guide used to say, that's the way. But this will be high school math, high school trigonometry, and not much of that. So I put a few slides out there. The one Tom has right now is he has the Pleiades up there, and suppose we're going to determine the distance of the Pleiades. We'll take an observation in August, we'll say, and then 6 months later we'll take another observation. Now you've all seen parallax, whether you realize you have or not. If you just hold your hand out in front of you and stick up your finger, and then you blink your eyes, go from one eye to the next, you'll see your finger move back and forth. Whereas the distant object you're looking at won't be moving at all. And that's all parallax is. The way it's used here is that instead of the distance between your eyeballs, which is about maybe 6 centimeters, we use the distance between the diameter of the orbit of the Earth around the Sun, which would be 2 astronomical units. So we can determine, we get a lot more parallax, you might say, if we use 93 million miles and 6 centimeters. So what happens is we really have a triangle set up here. And as you recall from your high school trig, we have if you take this triangle that's in the photo and you divide it in two, you have a right triangle. So we know that one of the angles we know for a fact is 90 degrees by definition. We know the other angle of the triangle because we've measured it, and that's the parallax angle. And we also know one of the sides, which is the baseline, or in this case, the distance from the Earth to the Sun, which we know what that is. So if you use basic trigonometry, trigonometry tells us that the tangent of the angle that we're observing is equal to the side opposite divided by the side adjacent. Now the side opposite, we know, again, it happens to be 1 astronomical unit, the distance from the Earth to the Sun. The side adjacent is what we want to know, but we know basically we know the side opposite, and we know two angles, and that's all we know. The laws of trigonometry allow us to determine everything else, and we could also determine the hypotenuse, but we really don't care about that in this case. Okay, so if you go to the next slide, Tom, on your feed. Usually takes a second because of the delay through the internet. Well, we're still waiting here, but you'll sort of see the same diagram. And again, if you don't have that, you can look on the W5FC webpage. Okay, here we go. Now, here's kind of a graphic example. We'll assume that the star we're looking for is Proxima Centauri, which is part of the Alpha Centauri system, which is the closest star that we are aware of, that we know of. It's the closest star to Earth. Okay, in this example here, we'll assume that the Proxima Centauri is in the Big Dipper. Well, we know it's not. It's in Centaurus, and that's why they call it Centauri. But the example here shows it in the Big Dipper, so we'll take one angle. We look at one angle at one side of the Earth's orbit. 6 months later, we see that star shifted a little bit. And assuming that the background stars, the rest of the Big Dipper stars, are so far away that they aren't going to shift. So, and that angle is the parallax distance, and it's measured usually in arc seconds. Okay, well, Tom's going to the next slide. As you know, we have 360 degrees in a circle. Each degree is divided up into 60 minutes, and each minute is divided up into 60 seconds. So essentially, each degree has 3,600 arc seconds in it. An arc second is a pretty small angle. For example, if you had an object that's maybe 2 centimeters in diameter, that's less than an inch. If you could observe that thing and measure it from about 5.3 kilometers or around maybe 3 miles away, it'd be an arc second. So it's pretty doggone small. Okay, the first parallax was worked out back in 1735. A guy by the name of, my notes here. It's dark out here, so I can have to, okay. This guy by the name of James Bradley, and this was actually in 729. And he worked out the math, but he did not have the accuracy of equipment to be able to really accurately determine that angle. And it took about 150 years for technology to catch up. So there was another guy named Francis Bessel who in 1878, he made the first actual successful measurement using photographic plates. If we look at the star, we measure the angle of the star, which we'll call alpha. On Alpha Centauri, it happens to be about 7/10 of an arc second. So on the next slide, we can show you sort of how that's done. Again, we know the angle, that angle alpha, and nowadays you have pocket calculators. It used to be back in the day you had to look it up in the back of a math book. But now all you got to do is just punch the number into a pocket calculator, and you can find the tangent of an angle. The angles have to be in seconds. So what you have to do is first divide that angle by 3,600. So you need seconds that you can plug into a pocket calculator. couple of things that I used to do when I was an engineering student is I'd sort of work out some math problems of stuff I was going to use when I took a test, so then later when I had to answer the questions, I didn't have to go back and recalculate them. I just write them on the top of the test page or on my scratch pad. And so we're going to be dealing with astronomical units here. So an astronomical unit we know is 93 times 10 to the 6 miles. And that's one astronomical unit, the distance between the Earth and the Sun. Okay, now if we multiply that times a quantity whose value is 1, we know that light in 1 second will travel 186,000 miles, which is 186 times 10 to the 3 miles. If we multiply that times a quantity whose value is 1, 1 minute is the same as 60 seconds. Multiply that times a factor whose value is 1, which is 1 minute is equal to 60 degrees, and multiply that times a factor whose value is 1. 1 day is the same as 24 hours, and multiply that times a factor whose value is 1. You get 1 year is the same as 365 days. So if you go through the pocket calculator and add it and multiply everything together, you get 1 light year is approximately 15.84 times 10 to the minus 6 light years. Real big number. If you do the inverse of that, you can get 1 light year is the same as 63,072 astronomical units. So I'll write that on the top of the page. Okay, now here comes the math. Oh, math. Okay, we know that the tangent of this angle is the side opposite divided by the side adjacent. We know the side opposite, we've already determined that to be 1 AU divided by the distance. And the distance is the unknown variable. So we just arranged that a little bit using high school algebra. The distance equals to 1 AU divided by the tangent of theta. And in the case of Alpha Centauri, theta is equal to 0.07764 arc seconds. Okay, going on with the math, and bear with me here, 1 astronomical unit divided by the tangent of 0.007 or 0.077164 seconds. If you multiply that times a value or a factor whose value is 1, 1 minute is the same as 60 seconds, and multiply that times a factor whose value is 1, 1 degree is 60 minutes, you get 1 astronomical unit. The distance we're trying to determine is 1 astronomical unit divided by the tangent of 0.77164 divided by 3600, because again we have to convert this to degrees from seconds. So pocket calculator tells us again that the distance to Alpha Centauri, or Proxima Centauri in this case, is 267,307 astronomical units. And we know that because we know 1 light year is 63,072 astronomical units. We know that that's 4.238, or about 4 light years to Proxima Centauri. So that's how we figured out the distance from to Proxima Centauri. Now this shortcut, which Tom has up now that we can use, and what the shortcut tells us is that 1 AU is the same as 2 pi d, where d is the value we want to know. 1 AU divided by 2 pi d is equal to the angle theta, or the angle alpha divided by 360. So again, we go using high school algebra, we go through and rearrange that. We get 360 times 1 AU is equal to alpha times 2 pi d. So if we divide 360 AU by 2 pi, that's equal to 1, because we have 2 pi in 360 degrees. So that gives us, the distance is 1 AU divided by the parallax. So using that equation, if you take the parallax that we measured, which is 0.77164, we're going to get 1.296 parsecs. And that's 1.296 parsecs is the distance to Proxima Centauri. We calculated earlier that the distance in light years is 4.238 light years. That's equal to 1.296 parsecs. So if you divide 4.238 divided by 1.296, we get 3.27 parsecs per light year. And that's, you probably heard it's like 3.26 parsecs per light year. That's where that comes from. The 3.27 is just because of rounding errors. Okay, now, to double check that, if we take the distance, 1 astronomical unit, and we divide that by the tangent of 1.0 arc seconds divided by 3600, we come out with 3.267 light years per parsec. So if you ever wonder where that 3.267 comes from, that's where it comes from. That's the math. If your head's not swimming around, well, that's too bad because we're going to have a test afterwards. So your next question is, what is all this good for, you may ask? Well, we calculated that Proxima Centauri has the largest parallax for any astronomical object that we can measure. There's things a lot smaller than that. The Hubble telescope, for instance, can measure about 20.4 milliseconds. And there's another telescope that has been set up called the Gaia by the European Space Agency, and that'll give us actually 10 microseconds of arc. That's about 10 times 10 to the minus 6 arc seconds. And if you look at Tom's book feed, you'll see that the best Earth-based telescopes can only give us about 1/100th of an arc second. The space-based telescopes, like the Hubble, can maybe do about 100 times better. Or, hang on a second, my paper just blew off on the ground here. I have to go retrieve it. If we use the Hubble telescope, this basically tells us that the distance we can measure with the telescope would be about maybe 10,000 about 10,000. Well, the nearest galaxy, which is Andromeda Galaxy, is about 2.5 million light years. So parallax wouldn't be of any use to determine where the distance to the Andromeda Galaxy. Now, this Gaia telescope that the European Space Agency set up about in around 2003, its mission basically is to make a 3D view of the entire galaxy, of our galaxy. And so the Gaia telescope can determine distances of about 10,200 light years. So it would be sufficient for that. That's where we have the limitations. Is that parallax method can only be used for very, very, very nearby stuff. And by nearby stuff, I mean like in our, not even, closer than our backyard. Anything else beyond that is going to have to use other mechanisms. Now, Tom has a slide up right now that shows kind of over time of the best star, of the best parallaxes, and guys can probably, which was set up in 2013, can determine parallaxes of about probably 7 micro arc seconds. But again, that's only good enough for mapping out our galaxy. So I guess I better close things up here pretty quick. Anything beyond that, we need these other techniques such as variable, CPU variable stars. In fact, Hubble actually determined that the Andromeda galaxy was a separate it was a galaxy separate from the Milky Way because it was too far away to be part of our galaxy. So with that, I will close saying that we do have other mechanisms to determine stuff.
I think Mike may be on battery power and we lost him. One more time, KG5P from KE5ICX.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not on battery power. I'm running the full 5 watts on this thing. So what did you lose me here, Tom?
I lost the last couple of sentences and you dropped out. So you want to conclude, and we'll go on. I'm not quite exactly sure, but you dropped out there for about 20 seconds or so.
Okay. Well, I didn't touch my my knob here that I touched earlier, and I got off frequency a little bit. I'm right on the repeater frequency. No, I was just saying that the parallax method has extreme limitations, and the stuff that we're trying to learn now is going to require other methods than parallax. Specifically, the Webb telescope will be using redshift because its mission is to find out what's going on at the other end of the universe, and parallax is just good enough for our own backyards. That was all I had. Thank you. KG5P.
All right, thank you, Michael. This is KE5ICX. I'm net control for tonight's Skynet. We appreciate that and the explanation of what astronomical parallax is all about. All right, let's see. Where are we? I'll take additional check-ins. I've got Steve over there. I should know your call sign. I've seen you on here. but I'll go ahead and check you in. Any additional check-ins, please come now. This is KE5ICX. Please come with your call sign name, where you're transmitting from.
Five KO correction. Kilo Foxtrot 5.
All right, I've got a KF5 call. Try one more time.
Sorry, Tom, that was K5 KOB. Almost hit a cow.
I suspect you have a new shiny call sign. I've got Kilo 5, Kilo Lima Bravo. Is that correct? And if it is, give me your name and location. Otherwise, just give me the correction. I'll take it.
Kilo 5, Kilo Oscar Bravo, Philip from Crandall.
Awesome. I got you down, Philip. You got a new call. K5KOB. Nice call. I like it. Any additional check-ins? Come now. Very good. Let's move quickly here. I'm going to go, let's see here, 9:58. I'm going to go ahead and skip to our constellation this evening, and I'll come back if time will allow. So, Miss Carolyn, KC50ZT, go ahead and give us our constellation this evening, and we'll be, I think, on track at that point. KC50ZT from KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. This is KC50ZT, and tonight we're going to look at Libra, one of the zodiac constellations. It means the weighing scales in Latin. It's usually depicted as the scales held by the Greek goddess represented by the neighboring Virgo constellation. In fact, Libra is the only zodiac constellation that represents an object, not an animal or a character from mythology. And the four brightest stars form a quadrangle. The top ones, Alpha and Beta, mark the scale's balance. Beam and Gamma and Sigma represent the weighing pans. This is a 29th constellation size. It has a meteor shower, the May Librids. And this, actually the Greeks knew this as part of Scorpio. They called it Chela, C-H-E-L-A-E, or claws, representing the scorpion's claws. This region of the sky with scales was established among the Romans. It said that the moon was located in Libra when Rome was founded. And the sun was at the autumnal equinox in Libra until the year 729, when the precession of the equinoxes shifted the equinox to Virgo. And the Romans were not the first to associate Libra with balance. The Babylonians called it the balance of heaven about 1,000 years before Christ. And once Libra became associated with balance, Its association with Scorpio's claws faded. And getting on to some of the stars, and to my man weird names. The brightest one is Beta Libra, also known as Zubanesh Shamali. Like I say, it's the brightest at magnitude 2.6. It's about 185 light years away. It's a Class B blue-white dwarf and a very fast spinner. Now, that name comes from the Arabic phrase which means the northern claw. In Latin, they called it Lynx borealis, or the northern scale. And next we have Alpha. That's a favorite, Zubanel Janubi. Second brightest. It's a multiple star system, actually. These two brightest components form a binary star and share a proper motion. They're suspected members of the Castor moving group of stars with a common origin of about 200 million years ago. And then the name, Zubanel Janubi, comes from the Arabic, which means the southern claw. And also the Latins, they named it Lynx australis, or the southern scale. And then one of the patterns of the scale is Sigma, a red giant star known as Brachium, Brachium. It's Class M, about magnitude 3.29, about 288 light years away. And it's that name means arm in Latin. And it's a semi-regular variable star, actually, with a period of about 20 days, if you want to observe variables. Libra is home to the oldest known star in the universe, known as Methuselah, at magnitude 7.2. It's believed to have been created shortly after the Big Bang. It's a subgiant and very metal poor. They believe it consists entirely of hydrogen and helium. It's estimated to be about 14.46 billion years old, and yet the universe is believed to be about 13.77 billion years old. But the star's age doesn't really conflict with the age of the universe because those values are so uncertain. And Parallax showed it's 190.1 light years away. And then the Hubble Space Telescope measured a narrow uncertainty on the star's distance, and this helped refine the calculations to a more precise age of about 14.5 billion. Or if you want to get technical, plus or minus 800 billion years. But this star is rapidly passing through our local neighborhood, and the star's orbit carries it through the plane of our galaxy from the galactic halo that has a population of ancient stars. And the other pan of the scales, you might say, Gamma, it has a Arabic name too, Zubanel crab. An orange giant Class K, magnitude 3.9. It's about 152 light years away, and its name is from the Arabic, which means the shears of the scorpion. I guess you could consider that the claws. A fascinating star, Echolink Libra, or it's also known as Gliese, Gliese 581. A red dwarf star, class M, got magnitude 10.5, and close, only 20 light years away. They have been able to discover it has a planetary system with at least 3, possibly up to 6 planets. The first planet, Planet C, was discovered in 2007, but it's likely too hot to be in a habitable zone like Venus. And an unconfirmed planet they're still checking on, Planet D, might be either just inside or outside the habitable zone. In 2009, they discovered Planet E, the least massive planet known orbiting a normal star when it was discovered. And then there's another unconfirmed planet claimed to have been discovered in 2010, and if it is confirmed, it will be the planet most suitable for liquid water because it lies in the middle of the habitable zone. And in 2012, the European Space Agency found a belt of comets in the system, like ours, one with at least 10 times as many comets as our solar system. And there's a chart with a picture of the orbits of the planets of this star compared to our own solar system. But who knows what future discoveries they'll make of this star. There aren't too many deep sky objects easily observable, but I did put some on the chart. These are all NGC numbers. 5792 is a nice barred spiral galaxy, magnitude 12, about 83 million light years away. And we have 5890, it's an unbarred lenticular galaxy, but dim at magnitude 14. But we do have a nice globular cluster, NGC 5897. It's magnitude 9, so amateur scope should be able to see that pretty easily. And then we have a barred spiral galaxy, 5885, magnitude 11.8. So Libra may not have a lot of the bright deep sky objects, but it sure has some fascinating stars, and you have to admit, with fascinating names. So take a tour through this, and especially it's got a visitor pretty close right now, Jupiter. So take a look at this, and I think you'll like this constellation. KC50ZT, I'll turn it back to you, Tom.
Good. Thank you, Miss Carolyn, and very interesting romp through Libra. This is KE5ICX net control for tonight's Skynet. We'll move quickly 2, Miss Brenda, WB50ZL. What do you have for us this evening?
We're running kind of late, so I think we'll just do one article. And the title of it is Breakthrough in the Search for Cosmic Particle Accelerators. Scientists trace a single neutrino back to a galaxy billions of light years away. Using an internationally organized astronomical dragnet, scientists have for the first time located a source of high-energy cosmic neutrinos, ghostly elemental particles that travel billions of light years through the universe, flying unaffected through stars, planets, and entire galaxies. The joint observation campaign was triggered by a single neutrino that had been recorded by the IceCube Neutrino Telescope at the South Pole on September 22nd, 2017. Telescopes on Earth and in space were able to determine that the exotic particle had originated in a galaxy over 3 billion light years away in the constellation of Orion, where a gigantic black hole serves as a natural particle accelerator. Scientists from the 18 different observatories involved are presenting their findings in the journal Science. Further analysis, also published in Science, shows that other neutrinos previously recorded by IceCube came from the same source. The observation campaign, in which research scientists from Germany played a key role, is a decisive step towards solving a riddle that has been puzzling scientists for over 100 years, namely that of the precise origins of so-called cosmic rays, high-energy subatomic particles that are constantly bombarding Earth's atmosphere. This is a milestone for the budding field of neutrino astronomy. We're opening a new window into the high-energy universe, said Merritt Kowalski, the head of the neutrino astronomy at DESI, a research center at Helmholtz Association and researcher at Humboldt University in Berlin. The concerted observational campaign using instruments located all over the globe is also a significant achievement for the field of multi-messenger astronomy, that is, the investigation of cosmic objects using different messengers such as electromagnetic radiation, gravitational waves, and neutrinos. One way in which scientists expect energetic neutrinos to be created is as a sort of byproduct of cosmic rays that are expected to be produced in cosmic particle accelerators, such as the vortex of matter created by supermassive black holes or exploding stars. However, unlike the electrically charged particles of cosmic rays, neutrinos are electrically neutral and therefore not deflected by cosmic magnetic fields as they travel through space, meaning that the direction from which they arrive points straight back at their actual source. Also, neutrinos are scarcely absorbed. Observing cosmic neutrinos gives us a glimpse of processes that are opaque to electromagnetic radiation, says Klaus Helbing from the someplace. Not even going to try that one. Neutrinos are messengers from the high-energy universe. Demonstrating the presence of neutrinos is extremely complicated, however, because most of the ghostly particles travel right through the entire Earth without leaving a trace. Only on very rare occasions does neutrino interact with its surroundings. It therefore takes huge detectors in order to capture at least a few of these rare reactions. For the IceCube detector, an international consortium of scientists headed by the University of Wisconsin in Madison, in USA, drilled 86 holes into the Antarctic ice, each 2,500 meters deep. Into these holes, they lowered 5,160 light sensors spread out over a total volume of 1 cubic kilometer. The sensors registered the tiny flashes of light that are produced during the rare neutrino interactions in the transparent ice. 5 years ago, IceCube furnished the first evidence of high-energy neutrinos from the depths of outer space. However, these neutrinos appear to be arriving from random directions across the sky. Up to this day, we don't know where they originated, says Elisa Riscani from the Technical University of Munich. His group contributed crucially to the findings. Through the neutrino recorded on September 22nd, we now have managed to identify a first source. Okay, I think we're out of time. This is a very long article. Both of them are really long articles. They're in ScienceDaily.com, so you can go and look at it yourself. Back to net. This is WB5OZL.
Brenda, and this is KE5ICX Net Control for tonight's Skynet. Let's move to Kelly, K5KTX. This is Kelly. What do you have for us this evening?
This is K5KTX, and hopefully I can get through this without sneezing. I've just had this sneezing thing happening the last hour or so we'll see if we can get through this. All right, new observations by 3 of the world's largest radio telescopes have revealed that an asteroid discovered last year is actually 2 objects, each about 3,000 feet in size, orbiting each other. Near-Earth asteroid 2017 YE5 was discovered with observations provided by the Morocco-Oka-Maiden Sky Survey on December 21st, 2017, but no details about the asteroid's physical properties were known until the end of June. This is only the 4th equal-mass binary near-Earth asteroid ever detected, consisting of 2 objects nearly identical in size orbiting each other. The new observations provide the most detailed images ever seen of this type of binary asteroid. The asteroid 2017 YE5 made its closest approach to Earth for at least the next 170 years, coming to within 3.7 million miles of Earth, or about 16 times the distance between Earth and the Moon. On June 21st and 22nd, observations by NASA's Goldstone Solar System radar in California showed the first signs that YE5 could be a binary system. The observations revealed 2 distinct lobes, but the asteroid's orientation was such that scientists could not see if the 2 bodies were separate or joined. Eventually, the 2 objects rotated to expose a distinct gap between them. Scientists at the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico had already planned to observe YE5, and they were alerted by their colleagues at Goldstein of the asteroid's unique properties. On June 24th, the scientists teamed up with researchers at the Green Bank Observatory in West Virginia and used the 2 observatories together in a bistatic radar configuration in which Arecibo transmits the radar signal and Green Bank receives the return signal. Together, they were able to confirm that YE5 consists of 2 separated objects. By June 26th, both Goldstone and Arecibo had independently confirmed the asteroid's binary nature. The new observations obtained between June 21st and 26th indicate that the 2 objects revolve around each other once every 20 to 24 hours. This was confirmed with visible light observations of brightness variations by Brian Warner at the Center for Solar System Studies in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Our imaging shows that the 2 objects are larger than their combined optical brightness originally suggested, indicating that the 2 rocks do not reflect as much sunlight as a typical rocky asteroid. YE5 is likely as dark as charcoal. The Goldstone images taken on June 21st also show a striking difference in the radar reflectivity of the 2 objects, a phenomenon not seen previously among more than 50 other binary asteroid systems studied by radar since 2000. However, the majority of those binary asteroids consist of 1 large object and 1 much smaller satellite. The reflectivity differences also appear in the Arecibo images and hint that the 2 objects may have different densities, compositions near their surfaces, or different surface roughnesses. Among near-Earth asteroids larger than 650 feet in size, about 15% are binaries with 1 larger object and a much smaller satellite. Equal mass binaries like 2017 YE5 are much rarer. Contact binaries, in which two similarly sized objects are in contact, are thought to make up another 15% of near-Earth asteroids larger than 650 feet in size. The discovery of the binary nature of YE5 provides scientists with an important opportunity to improve understanding of different types of binaries and to study the formation mechanisms between binaries and contact binaries which may be related. Analysis of the combined radar and optical observations may allow scientists to estimate the densities of the 2017 YE5 objects, which will improve understanding of their composition and internal structure and of how they formed. Data collected by NASA's Juno spacecraft using its Jovian infrared auroral mapper instrument pointed to a new heat source close to the south pole of Io that could indicate a previously undiscovered volcano on the small moon of Jupiter. The infrared data were collected on December 16, 2017, when Juno was about 290,000 miles away from the moon. Alessandro Mura, a Juno co-investigator from the National Institute for Astrophysics in Rome, said the new Io hotspot that the instrument picked up is about 200 miles from the nearest previously mapped hotspot. We're not ruling out movement or modification of a previously discovered hotspot, but it's difficult to imagine one could travel such a distance and still be considered the same feature. The team will continue to evaluate data collected on the December 16th flyby, as well as other data that will be collected during future and even closer flybys of Io. Past NASA missions of exploration that have visited the Jovian system, Voyagers 1 and 2, Galileo, Cassini, and New Horizons, along with ground-based observations, have located over 150 active volcanoes on Io so far. Scientists estimate that about another 250 or so are waiting to be discovered. In space history for this past week, July the 7th, 2003, Mars Explorer Rover B, or Opportunity, launched on a Delta II rocket from Cape Canaveral, the second of NASA's Mars exploration rovers. It is an exact copy of Mare A, Spirit, which was launched on June 10, 2003, and carries the same set of instruments. The main difference, while Spirit ceased communications in March 2010, Opportunity continues to beam back data, well, except for the past month or so. So 14 years beyond its designed lifespan. Opportunity landed on Mars on January 25th, 2004, and is currently conducting science in Mars's Endeavour crater. And by the way, they have not updated the status of Opportunity since the big dust storm, so don't have any news to report on that. July 8, 2011, Space Shuttle Atlantis left Launch Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center for her last flight in space. This was the final mission of the shuttle program. The STS-135 crew, Chris Ferguson, Doug Hurley, Rex Walham, and Sandy Magnus, were on a cargo resupply mission to the International Space Station. STS-135 was the 33rd flight of Atlantis, the 37th shuttle mission to the ISS, and the 135th mission of the Space Shuttle program. NASA commentator Rob Navia said, the Space Shuttle spreads its wings one final time for the start of a sentimental journey into history. July 10th, back in 1962, Telstar set the ball rolling as the first active communications satellite. Televised events from overseas? Telstar 1, such a thing was unheard of. Produced for AT&T, the satellite left Earth's atmosphere atop a Thor Delta 316 rocket to become the first commercial payload in space. Telstar demonstrated that it was feasible to transmit information using satellites, including relaying the world's first transatlantic television signal from Maine to France. Telstar showed images and clips of American and French interests, including President Kennedy, sports, and other areas of entertainment. The satellite operated for 4 months, during which it facilitated over 400 telephone, telegraph, facsimile, and television transmissions before becoming inactive due to radiation. July the 11th, 1979, America's first space station, Skylab, returned to Earth. Skylab, launched on May 14, 1973 from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, marked a new phase for America's human spaceflight program. The goal now became to stay in space for longer periods of time and conduct complex scientific experiments in the unique space environment. Dr. Warner von Braun and his team at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, converted the third stage of a Saturn V rocket into a habitable orbital laboratory. It was put into space on the last Saturn V to launch. Over the course of its human occupation from May 25, 1973 to February 8, 1974, 3 crews, each with 3 crew members, visited Skylab. The third Skylab crew lived in space for 84 days, which at that time was a new record for the longest human stay in space. The planned re-entry of Skylab over the Indian Ocean happened as expected, but some of the remnants of Skylab went further east than expected and came down over parts of Australia. By 12, back in 2000, the Zvezda service module launched on a Russian Proton rocket, the first completely Russian contribution to the International Space Station. Zvezda served as the cornerstone for the first ISS inhabitants and provided living quarters as well as life support, communications, flight control, and propulsion systems. The ISS has since been completed, but Zvezda still functions as the heart of the Russian segment of the space station. On July 13th, 1995, this one is a special note for Tony. STS-70 took flight, setting a unique record. Space Shuttle Discovery was launched a mere 6 days after the landing of sister ship Atlantis. This marked the fastest turnaround between flights in the history of NASA. And here's the note for Tony. The original liftoff date had been targeted for June 22nd, but for reasons, including an attack by northern flicker woodpeckers, which poked about 200 holes in the foam insulation of Discovery's external tank, the launch was delayed. And that's all I've got. This is K5KTX.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. This is KE5ICX Net Control for tonight's Skynet. All right, we're done. We're very close. Well, we're 2 minutes away. I'll take final check-ins, and I will acknowledge over on all the other stuff in just a second. Additional check-ins, please come now with your call sign name and where you're transmitting from.
Level 5, Juliet, Delta Whiskey, John and Capel.
November 5, Hotel Yankee Papa, Tom and Irving.
Level 5, Whiskey Hotel, William, Dallas.
I'm completely operational and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow Movie Net.
I've got K5JDW John over in Capel. I got Tom N5HYP in Irving, and then I've got I should know this fellow K5 question mark WH. One more time, please.
Level 5, Whiskey Tango Hotel, William and Dallas.
K5WTH, William in Dallas. I got you checked in. I've got Dave Z, Kevin, and Cody over on, what is it? Facebook. So let's see. I've got 36, 37, 38, 39. 39 check-ins this evening, including myself. I'm going to go ahead and close it down this evening. We had 39 check-ins this evening. Fantastic. Let's see here. Where's my script? Oh my goodness. There we go. Thanks to all who checked in this evening. Hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night. And don't forget, we have Moon Day next Saturday. So if you're interested in checking, in being a part of that, you get to go to the Frontiers of Flight Museum That's great. You'll like it. Please come by Saturday. We throughout the day, starting at 8 o'clock and then going to about 5 o'clock or so. You can send an email to nets@w5fc.org or to my call sign ke5icx@yahoo.com will work probably best of all the email addresses. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all the DARC nets. If you would like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video feeds, video archives, and other useful resources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is Kilo Echo 5 India Charlie X-Ray Tom, and I'll be closing the net at 22:32 local time and returning the repeater to normal amateur use. 7-3 everybody, and enjoy discovering the universe. And in 5 minutes, come back and we will discuss Ice Planet, the movie from 2001. Not a space odyssey. It came out in 2001. A fine film. Even if you have not seen it, it's okay. We'll talk about it anyway. Why? I don't know. This is KE5ICX. I'll clear for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and discuss this fine film. 7-3, everybody. Great net.
TechNet to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
Really blew my mind that I played the Outer Limits video and suddenly heard it coming back at me over the radio. I said, wait a minute, how is that possible? In 5BB.
KC5ICF. Tom. KG5P.
ahead, Mike. 6.
There's one excellent Twilight Zone episode that you might be interested in seeing. It's called Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. It's one of the classics.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favorites. I absolutely agree with you. That one is the whole thing. And Claude Akins ends up fingered because he is the amateur radio operator and nobody knows what he does. It's very mysterious. Everyone loves that episode. I know I do. KE5I6.
Well, I'd watched it, I guess, when it first came out when I was a kid, and then I watched it the other night, and it got better the second time. Yeah, Claude Akins, yeah, he had one of them ham radios, and he was real suspicious.
Exactly. All right, I'm going to Miss Brenda. She has the Afterglow tonight. So, Miss Brenda, WB50ZL from KE5ICX, you're on. And Mike, go ahead and check in. It's Ice Planet this evening, 2001. No Space Odyssey.
Will do, KG5P.
Anyone want to use the net before we begin? I mean, use the repeater before we begin the net. All right, this is Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima. We're going to open another episode of Afterglow. And tonight we have outdone ourselves with our movie. It is the 2001 Canadian film Ice Planet. And if you watched it, you know what a treat this is. So, as usual, I'm going to turn this over to my partner in crime, KE5ICX, who's going to tell us a synopsis of this wonderful film. Go ahead, Tom.
I've never heard anybody cough up a hairball on this repeater. But I'll go ahead and continue, and you can yell at me later. All right, this film came out in 2001. It was Canadian-German science fiction film produced as a pilot movie for an intended TV series. I won't tell you who. The movie takes place some 30 years after the devastating war between the Union and the Consortium. Union and Consortium, you get it. That resulted in the death of 10% of Earth's population, 1 out of 10. The Newton 5 space colony is suddenly attacked by a vast extraterrestrial spacecraft, killing 200,000 people in the process. The alien spacecraft then proceeds to annihilate a military base on Jupiter's moon, Io. Base Commander Noah Traeger, aided by recently graduated space cadets, them, manages to escape to the nearby Magellan research vessel commanded by Professor Cartes Roomla, not Roomba, Roomla, encouraged by Senator Jeremy Orban, who is on the military base, insists that the Magellan continue its original classified mission rather than return to Earth. Pursued by the alien spacecraft, the refugees head towards Section 9 in space, the Magellan's original destination. The research vessel suddenly is ejected into hyperspace by an unknown space maple syrup phenomenon. After traveling through interstellar space, the vessel is drawn towards an unidentified planet where it lands automatically in a crater. Of course it is. Well, Apollo 12 did that. The planet has a breathable atmosphere and Earth-like gravity, but an unknown force field keeps the Magellan and the 1,426 refugees on board trapped on the surface. The planet's orbit is also highly unusual, resembling that of a spacecraft rather than a planet. It is located so far, yada, 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 from Earth. Even the Andromeda Galaxy is not visible in the sky. Magellan is stranded, and its crew has to cope with the fact that returning to Earth is impossible. I'll stop now while I am behind. This is KE5ICX, back to net control.
Would you repeat all that, please? I still don't know what this movie was about. Just kidding. All right, we're going to take check-ins. Give us your call sign, your name, EQTH, and whether or not you saw this movie. We'll start with low power and short time. Please come down.
For Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony, low power portable in Dallas, and I saw this, although I don't know if I want to honor it by the name movie.
November 5, Papa, Tom and Irving, yes, I saw the movie.
NT5TM Tony and N5HYP Tom. Let's go ahead and do some general check-ins. Please come now.
This is N5BB, Bill and Irving. I saw the movie. Someone held open my eyes, and Wendy/Walter Carlos was playing Beethoven, forcing me to listen while I watched it.
So, Foxtrot 5, Tango, Sierra Kilo, Burl in Dallas. I did see the movie. I wish I hadn't, but I saw the movie.
Q5P, Mike and Richardson. I did not see the movie, but I'll be here monitoring.
Bravo, number 4, Mike, Foxtrot, India, WB4MFI, Ted, Dallas. I saw the movie, and some of the special effects were good.
Hello, Charlie 5, Oscar Zulu Tango, Carolyn in Louisville, and I did see the movie.
Whiskey Golf Hotel, this is Nick in Carrollton. I did see the movie.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray Tom. I saw the movie.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, J near Weatherford, and I did see the film.
KG5BB Bill, KF5TSK Burl, KG5P Mike, WB5MFI Ted, KC5OZP Carolyn, KC5W, I think, Golf Hotel, and I missed your name. Would you please come back with that?
That's Kilo Golf 5 Whiskey Golf Hotel, Nick in Carrollton.
Ned, thanks. And KU5ICX Tom, and KG5BZWJ. Okay, let's go on to Echolink. Please come now with your call sign, name, and QTH. Nobody there, so any more check-ins from any mode, please come now. I didn't catch any of that. Could you raise your power level a little bit or come back again? I'm sorry. Maybe you can come back a little later. All right. Let's go ahead and get started so we can get it over with. We'll start with Tony, NT5TM. Tell us what you thought about this movie. Please go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, it was kind of an accident of circumstance that I watched it, and I would have been better served by watching paint dry. This movie actually did have one redeeming feature. If you've ever seen the movie Galaxy Quest with Tim Allen and Sigourney Weaver, you're familiar with the trope in science fiction that as the movie goes on, the women's costumes get tattered and more revealing, whereas the men look, they have padded shoulders and they look very big and muscular, rawr. Did avoid it. The costumer was awful in general. They were wearing crappy members-only inspired jackets with awful PVC ornamentation, but they came up with this equal opportunity costume where everyone's trousers were sewed very tight across the derriere and very baggy in the lower legs. So I guess everyone was supposed to be equally objectified, and they didn't rip the women's clothes off. But that's the only nice thing I can say about this. Comments makers think of the Ruddles. The CGI was terrible and cheap and looked like a turn-of-the-century video game. The music was annoying and overbearing. You can tell the actors didn't believe in it because if you watch the credits, it also starred people with names like Woman with Baby and Person in Elevator. And wait, there's more. Couldn't even edit it well enough to hide the places where the commercial breaks were supposed to go. Those places had extra long black screens instead of just cutting from one thing to another because I guess they didn't hire an editor. So much of the movie was obviously just there to introduce stock characters that they meant to use later in the series. The androgynous, sort of telepathic, mystical young person, the old professor, the tough but caring captain, and lots of military cannon fodder, all very young and eager. There was nothing original, there was nothing that wasn't cheap, and there was nothing that was good. And except the trousers. NT5TM.
Tony. Well, I was going to say that those tight pants weren't too hard on the eyes, kind of like watching football, but I probably should not go there. Okay, N5BB. Oh, I'm sorry. N5HYP. Tom, you're up.
This is N5HYP. All of us Irvingites are confusing, I guess. Yeah, Holly and I watched the movie tonight. I am so glad that the lady who did the monologue at the beginning to try to tell us the story knew a significant amount about what was going on, because for the first 20 minutes of the movie, neither of us had any clue what was going on. It was, I think it tried to, it tried to build on some lofty science fiction goals, but it came very short, and it was kind of hard to piece the plot together, and eventually it did. You know, there was a plot, but it was not very well crafted. Let's just put it that way. It was an hour and 40 minutes that I wish I could get back, but we'll talk about characters later. This is N5HYP. Back to now.
Gee, I didn't really notice the plot. Maybe I should go back and look again. N5BV. Bill, go ahead.
My, this is N5BB. Well, as I alluded to earlier, Clockwork Orange, they held my eyes open and I was forced to watch it. What can I say? What was bad? The writing, acting, the directing, the set design, the costumes, and especially the editing. Early on in this thing, the first few minutes, they showed something, and then they whisk away to something different, and then they whisk away to something else, and I didn't have a clue what was really happening. You couldn't even understand visually what was going on because they cut too quickly. And they didn't explain it. The other thing that was so funny was that somewhere in the first third or half of the movie, there's a lot of scenes where they're looking at each other. And well, they're not really looking at each other. The camera is looking at each of the actors, and they all have these pained looks on their faces. And they just go back and forth, the camera does, cycling between these actors, putting on this pained look on their face. It is so funny. Also, it's dubbed. I don't know if they were speaking Canadian or German, but you can tell their mouths aren't perfectly in sync. And it's horrible. N5BB.
Years of Canadian in high school. So, no, that's not what they were speaking. All right, Bo, KF5TSK. Go ahead.
This is KF5TSK. After I watched the movie, I was like, what just happened? I mean, there's so many things that, you know, someone takes some Indians and takes them to another solar system. You know, it's like you get in a spaceship and then all of a sudden you get a time warp. You know, no one was there. I mean, there was just so many things that, you know, they're being chased by the Zantis and, you know, there's no real solution to anything, and it's, well, like I say, I finished the movie and I was like, you know, if someone would give me a test, what did you just see? It's like, I'm not sure what that was about. K5TSK back to net.
Alrighty, WB5MFI. Ted, tell us what you thought.
Section WB4MFI. WB4MFI. The best way to enjoy this particular movie is to turn the audio all the way down and listen to something else and just enjoy the color moving across the screen and appreciate some of the graphics. Trying to follow the storyline will be frustrating, but if you just appreciate the graphics, you can almost enjoy this movie, or at least I almost enjoyed it.
Were you finished, Ted?
Yes, I almost enjoyed it. Bottom line, almost. Go ahead.
And I'm sorry about messing up your call. I did write it down correctly. KC5OZT. Carolyn, go ahead.
Like I say, I did watch it, but it was confusing. Me wandering around, and I think if it was dubbed, they must have been speaking German, because I noticed a lot of the credits were in German, and one thing did fascinate me on the music. I kept hearing bits and pieces. It sounded like a Bruckner and Mahler and all kinds of, like they just took a bunch of phrases from different classical pieces and operas and put into the music. And I kept trying, you'd hear something, try to identify it, and they'd move on to something else before you could. And I found myself doing that more than keeping track of just what was going on, I mean, I was watching it, but I just sort of wandered around, not making sense. KC5OZT.
All right, KC WCH, Nick, go ahead.
This is Nick. Yeah, so as I tried to search this movie for whatever sort of plot I could find and still coming up with nothing, I finally realized what this whole thing felt like plot-wise. It felt like the student who had waited till late the night before to write some sort of creative writing paper that they had due the next day, and they just wrote an outline really fast. And then they tried to fill in between the outline bullets until they got the number of pages or the word count that they needed, because this thing jumped so hard from point to point. And I did look it up after I got done and realized what we've talked about, that it was supposed to be a pilot for a series. But the amount of material they jumped through and covered probably would have covered their first season. So if they had just cut out a little slice of it and just fleshed out that first part and maybe taken us through getting through the ice planet or something like that, we could have had a good time with this. But even when they tried to give us some detail, they really just stretched it real thin. I mean, the big crystal alien structure, and they just happened to find the part with human history in it. It all was very, when they did get to something with some meat on it, it was really contrived. So not much of a plot. I don't know how much else I can say about that. KG5WGH, back to net control.
Alrighty, KE5ICX. I hate to interrupt your pizza, but you are up next if you have something to say.
How did you know I was eating pizza? No, I already know. This was a amazing film, and I put that in quotes. All right, what they did, as far as I'm concerned, is they took and did this by committee. I mentioned that in my little thing that I mentioned earlier in the previous net. And they took everything and threw it together. Star Trek. Yeah, they did Space, The Final Frontier. They did Space, 1999. What is this Morpheus thing going on, and how does it all work out? They did that. They did Battlestar Galactica. We're in the middle of nowhere. We don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're doing. We used Flash Gordon. They're going to make things work for us. And then we used Babylon 5. Yeah, Babylon 5 came out before this thing. With the transmorphic person who starts out as the nice guy and ends up this thing that is armored and all of that. So just throw it all together and come up with this Canadian movie. Yay! Maybe I'll have comments later. I'm going to eat my pizza. KE5ICX.
Alrighty, KG5BZW. Jay, go ahead.
This is KG5BZW. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of the points I wanted to say were already made. Somebody, I didn't catch the call, mentioned they had a lot of stuff for a whole season, and that's literally one of my thoughts that I thought of when I was watching this film. This is a movie, Maple TV, whatever. And now that I heard ICX, yeah, I guess it was kind of that kind of explains why there was just so much. There were, they took some interesting bits from other series and stuff and crammed it all together, and there just wasn't really that much to glue it together in anything cohesive. Of course, not much was explained at all. The dubbing, yeah, there were a few places in the film. Yeah, it looked like they redubbed or something. But I didn't really notice it that much. But then I that's not one of those things that I have to admit. I tend to need it to be pretty bad for me to notice it. And even if it's, some of my favorite films actually have places where they're clearly redubbed. So I don't know. It's just not one of those things that if it is there, it doesn't distract me that much. I'm going to disagree with Tony. I thought the special effects were actually pretty good for for TV around that time. I thought the jellyfish space. I just kind of like the different approach. I also kind of see some things. I'm really wanting to know where this darn tree of life thing that featured in Avatar and everything. Let's see. We've already seen a film just recently that actually had something that was just similar. This darn meme theme, whatever, just keeps on popping up in these silly films. And I guess it's not really a tree. Whatever that the glowy thing in the that they discover with the space Indians. Let me reset. And let me see. Golly. Yeah, I trying to keep to plot or anything like that. I can't think of anything else, so I think I'll save other stuff for the next round. KG5BZW.
Well, I guess it's my turn. I'm not sure what to add. This is a really boring, dreary movie. It just didn't have anything going for it, except there were no red shirts. Most of the people were fairly attractive and not unfortunate looking. They had, let me see, there must be something else. No, that's pretty much it. All right, any more check-ins? It's a science fiction movie, so let's talk about the special effects. Stellar special effects. NT5TM, Tony, it's your turn.
Thank you, Brenda. I think Jay and I maybe could have a couple beers or sodas or whatever. I don't think I'm being too harsh. I think the effects really genuinely look like they were cheaply made computer effects from the 90s. I wondered in my head if this had undergone a long lapse period between when it was made and when it was released, because this did make me kind of long for the old series Babylon 5, which I really enjoyed. The very worst episode of Babylon 5, Grade 17 is Missing, had really ugly effects, but at least the plot was coherent, and everyone's mouths did move in time with what they were saying, and the music kind of made sense and wasn't overly edited. So I think that even by the standards of syndicated television from its era, the effects were just not up to par, and they were certainly not adequate for a movie. I think they consistently detracted from the plot. Oh, look, a swarming cloud of stuff. Guess what's behind it? I was just never impressed and consistently annoyed, and I think they were, I really want, if this was made in 1995, we'll give it more of a break. I don't know, but it wasn't appropriate for 2000 or 2001. NT5TM.
N5HYP, Tom, go ahead.
Hold on, let me move position here. This is N5HYP, Tom. Again, I moved position. Is this a better copy? This is N5HYP.
You're pretty scratchy. Can you do something better?
Go to call in somebody else. Come back to me.
All right, N5BB, Bill.
Oh, thank you, but I'm not sure what else I can say. This is N5BB. As others have said too, they just took a lot of little themes and just dumped them together. So you take a lot of little science fiction themes from movies in the late 60s through the 70s through the 80s and the early 90s, and they took a little bit of this costume and a little bit of this one, a little bit of this special effect, and then they took all the plot themes, the corny ones, and they stuck them together. So the senator was all stuck up. Of course he was. He was the senator. He had to be stuck up. The rebellious fighter had wild hair, and he weirdest attitude in the world. Of course, he had to have that attitude. They were all archetypes. So there's very little original in this whole thing. It was just all dumped together. It's Battlestar Galactica multiplied by 1,000. N5BB.
Okay, N5HYP, are you ready to come back?
See if this sounds any better. This is N5HYP.
Oh, yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Have to be in the right position on the couch. There really wasn't a lot of character development. Of course, obviously, if this was intended to be a pilot for a television series, the theory would be that we're not going to waste a lot of time developing the characters now. We'll develop those characters later. Well, fortunately, the world was spared from this production being a television, so we never really get any character development. We have a collection of characters, but we don't really get to know much about them. They tried a few snippets of that, but there wasn't enough time between the commercial breaks to make it happen. Back to net, Ben5HYP.
I just discovered something good about it. It has a Wilhelm scream. Okay, Burl, KF5TSK, you're up.
KF5TSK. Well, I don't really have much to add. It's, I think some of the costumes were okay, but I was just totally confused about, supposedly you have a warship and you have a scientist in charge of everything. Everything seemed to be backwards, and it's like someone just took some scenes out of other movies and just kind of, we'll just throw it together and that's what it'll be. And, at the end of the movie, it's like, you don't know who's chasing who and why they got transferred, across the galaxy, and, why would you pick Indians and, transfer them to another planet? I mean, someone's alien had to be, expecting something, that we're going to steal their minerals, we're going to make them slaves, none of the usual, we just want to move things around. KF5TSK back to net.
Okay. WB4MFI, Ted, go ahead.
Good evening, all. Again, the movie did not have a plot that carried all the way through. But I think that if it had become a series, that it might have gotten better, and maybe even significantly better. So I kind of wish I'd seen more of it, because I'm certain it would have gotten better. Back to the net.
KC5OZP, Carolyn.
Well, a lot of the effects were sort of odd. I agree with some of the characters. Oriental scholar, I could not think the other one. I could not think of him but as a pirate, even though they didn't call him that. The creepiest one was that little girl. You know, that makes you think of the paranormal type movies, you know, a haunted something, you know. They just, some of the icy scenery, you know, those patterns were sort of nice, you know, but other than that, some of the effects, I mean, I just couldn't recall them good. Now, they might have improved in later shows, but that's about it, KC50ZT.
KC5WGH net.
Yeah, there wasn't really much in the way of the effects department, but I don't necessarily expect that out of a pilot, because there's a lot of pilots of shows I enjoy that are pretty rough on that. But most of it they probably could have just not tried so hard on and been a little better. One of the things that came to mind as I was thinking about that high school kid not doing his paper till the last minute was all that when we got to the ice planet, it kind of looked like maybe some prom decorations or something, like the ice planet Night to Remember. My favorite kind of thing on screen they did, though, was probably the mind melding, mind controlled machete boomerang thing. If they had done that a little bit more, maybe the movie would have been more enjoyable. So I kind of appreciated whatever was going on there, even though they didn't really tell us what that was. The one big screen effect that they kind of tried that, again, they didn't explain enough was the image of the Earth burning down or whatever. I guess that wasn't too bad, but they didn't really tell us anything, and they just kind of went into a Dickens Christmas Carol moment about the ghost of the Christmas future there with it doesn't have to be this way, and then didn't tell us anything else. So yeah, not a lot in the way of special effects. KG5WGH, back to net control.
Hey, K5ICX, Tom, you have some more opinions?
Yes, I do. This is KE5ICX. The pizza was awesome. I just finished it off. Very good. I'm very happy. Now, about this movie, before the pizza, so not as good. Here's the thing. This movie reminded me of the pilot for Lost in Space, and that is, it was done in 1964, I think it was. And if you watch the pilot and not the episodes that were created from the pilot, it is crammed into 45 minutes of craziness that goes on. We're going to be in a cave. We're going to crash land on this planet. We're going to have meteorites. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. Catch my drift? Because this pilot is very similar. It's the same thing. We're going to go ahead and say we've got this strong commander. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. The representative is watching and saying, I'm going to, or not saying, but looking and going, I'm going to take care of you later on. The pilots and the rest of the crew are trying to figure out what they're going to do, and they're going to make their place known. And then we get the alien that possesses one of the characters' bodies. Let me reset. Then we have the big face-off at the end, and he's returned, very Space 1999, and in this case, Babylon 5. So, as a pilot, I think what they're trying to do is give the possibilities to the folks that would greenlight the series. Now, I don't know if this thing ever showed up on TV or not. I suspect it did not, but that's my opinion. I haven't looked it up. And that probably is the problem. We're going to throw these things at the fan and see what sticks. And it doesn't quite work. Now, I will tell you this. I like some of the characters. I like the captain. He was pretty cool. He was in Dances with Wolves, and I think it has a little bit of a BSG thing that came later. So, I don't know. It wasn't that good. It wasn't that bad. Will I watch it again? No. Okay, E5ICX.
Oh, come on. You know you want to. All right, KG5BZW. Go ahead.
This is KG5BZW. Yeah, I'll grant Tony something. A lot the things that the series I had kind of been comparing to this pilot. Yeah, more okay. Yeah, it's probably more mid '90s special effects on par with that instead of 2001. But I don't know. Okay, several series. Sliders. That's completely that. Well, the special effects on the vortices and there just remind me exactly of what was like in this thing, and those things are just kind of stupid looking. And but I like the occasional Sliders episode whenever I got it, so I guess it don't matter. With this respect to the special effects here, I don't know. Maybe it's just that it's been a while since I had seen some special effects like that I actually got nostalgic for it. Maybe that was the deal. Maybe that's why I like it. Okay, so I just wanted to cover that. Anything else? Let me reset. There's one thing I'm wanting to say, but it just kind of slipped away. There's just not much to say on characters. I agree with Tom, ICX Tom. He said, I thought Stewie he did pretty good with what he was given. But there were a few of those that apparently have had some memorable roles. It's simplest at some time, but they're just not. There's not really much to say character-wise or acting-wise, just because there just wasn't story. It was, as others have said, it just slapped together, see what sticks, and that's it. I don't know. I can't really think of anything else right at the very moment, so I'll turn it back to Net Control, KG5BZW.
Well, I don't have too much to add to the special effects. They weren't all that good. But, I guess, I don't know what their budget was. I read about it on Wikipedia. I couldn't find out. But it was made for TV, and they don't generally have a big budget for that. So I guess that would explain it. And maybe they did the best they could with limited resources. One thing I really didn't like was finding the Native Americans there in a cave. it's like, what does not make any sense? And that's basically my feeling about the whole movie is like, this doesn't make any sense, and that doesn't make any sense, and neither is that or that or that. And it just kept going throughout the movie like that. All right, let's talk about character development or anything else you want to talk about. We're going to start back up at the top. NT5TM Tony.
I have enjoyed critiquing this, but sadly I have no comments on characters because they were very boring, and I do need to check out. So thank you, everyone, but I do have to secure NT5TM.
N5HYP, Tom.
This is N5HYP. I moved back to my couch again to be able to get audible signal here. And of course, I fell asleep during the reviews and didn't catch that you were talking about special effects last round, so I talked about characters. So I'll talk about special effects right now. I mean, again, it was average CGI even for around 2000, and you know they were working on a pilot budget, so they couldn't have thrown an awful lot to that. I will agree with Bill Byram's scenario earlier on in the net about bad editing. I thought at the beginning, and that was part of the confusion. It was chaotic. It was supposed to be chaotic, but the editing didn't help. It actually enhanced the chaoticness of it. So that's, I mean, I guess it was a good thing. Maybe so. I'm out of here too. I gotta get to bed. 73 to all. I'll find out when everybody else does what next. Bye-bye, Brenda and the net. Brenda 585.
Righty, N5BB, Bill.
This is N5BB. Well, professor guy, but I guess the Japanese-looking guy, best way of describing him, he seemed to have more character, as I thought, than all the rest of them put together. The commander and everybody else were just pretty flat characters, not much depth. They were just there to, like I said earlier, they're just there to make facial expressions, and that's about it. They didn't really do much acting, and they didn't really develop the characters. So the professor guy or whatever, he seemed to be the only person that they did any kind of slight development, in my personal belief. By the way, according to IMDb, there is a Wilhelm scream in the movie, at least one. If you know what I mean, it's a little movie trope in 5BB.
Hey, Burl, KF5TSK.
I didn't really do much to add. Characters I thought were, rather dull. It's like, so what? No one seemed to be very excited. And one of the things that seems strange to me is, they call them cadets, but, it's like, how were they distinguished? K5 TSK back to net.
Okay. WB4 MFI, Ted.
MFI, Ted. I don't have much to say. His character, the character development wasn't there, but you can't expect much out of a pilot, and that's why I say if it had actually gone into production, it might have gotten better. It may even have gotten lots better. WB4MFI. Back to net.
And if you don't know what a Wilhelm scream is, it's a stock sound effect of a man screaming. It's been used in 388 movies so far. They think it was voiced by actor and singer Shep Woolley. He's named after Private Wilhelm, a character in The Charge at Feather River, a 1953 Western. Go on Wikipedia, they'll have a compilation of them, which is kind of amusing. Okay, KC5OZT Carolyn.
I think one thing, they didn't personalize them much. I mean, can you think of a single personal name of any of the characters without looking it up or something? There's some stood out, like I said, you know, the professor and the pirate and that cadet change, you know, being altered into that creepy alien type thing, you know, you noticed him. And like I say, you noticed that girl, it made me think of a creepy movie, you know, and but you couldn't, I mean, I didn't notice them calling each other by their name much. There's like just a few stood out, and the rest were just sort of in the background, you know. And I have to admit, the Indians on that planet, you know, that was just totally out of place, you know. There's no explanation, but impersonal, really. KC5OZT.
KC5WGHnet.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in agreement with everybody else. These characters were pretty thin and pretty flat. You know, a couple of our main characters, a handful there, they could have been really good. They kind of let them in and made them interesting. There was some interesting background between our captain and our rogue pirate blade guy. You know, there could have been some interesting things there happen. Again, the mind control machete boomerang lady. There was a lot of stuff that could have been very interesting, but they just did nothing with them. The only one that it seemed they tried to do a little bit with was just so confusing to me, and that was our alien ice Fabio character. I couldn't tell if he was mad or upset in some way, or he was trying to be nice or helpful. It was just his whole thing was very confusing to me, and that seemed to be the only one they tried to put any effort into anyway. So yeah, the characters all kind of fell down for me. KG5WGH, back to net.
K5ICX, your turn.
Thank you, Brenda. Yeah, I had something, and I looked at it and went, gosh, why didn't they take advantage of this? The commander, Jonah Traeger, played by Wes Studi. Studi is Native American and has been in a zillion different productions as Native American character, and he's the commander. And there are the other Native Americans down on the ice planet, and there's nothing to really connect all of that, which surprised me because the guy got cast that way, and they should have looked into that a lot in some way, shape, or form. I'm thinking that would be a good thing to do, but it didn't happen. The other thing is, too, the Fabio character that Nick mentions. That character plays out in an episode of Babylon 5. He's a sympathetic character of sorts. He's a young kid. He's out there for his first time doing the things he needs to do in space, and all of a sudden he's transformed, and nobody seems to care. Oh, well, Fabio is transformed, whatever it is. The acting is not there overall. The characterizations are created. They should gel, but it appears somewhat uninspired. The script has some primordial parts to it, but again, it ends up uninspired. Let me reset. As I mentioned earlier, and I think this is the case, it's done by committee. Let's take some scripts. Let's take those little things out of them that holds the whole script together, throw it up in the air, and then collect them all and put together a new script. And I think that's a cheat. I like the idea. I thought that they were trying, honestly, to make the thing work, but at the same time, they're all sitting around in a room going, what do we do next? What do we do next? Well, I remember this episode. We'll do this. Babylon 5 did this. Space 1999 did this. Star Trek did this. There were a couple of movies. 2001. Let's do that. 2010. Let's throw that one in. That's what this was, by committee. And that's all I got to say. KE5I6.
KG5BZWJ.
All right, this is KG5BZW. I remembered what I was wanting to say earlier, but I guess since you're now officially asking about characters, I guess I can continue on. Whatever. Again, lots have been said about this, but the biggest thing that, or maybe this was just one of those things where they tacked it on in addition just because they knew it already wasn't working to begin with. The narrator. Not that we've certainly seen our fair share of stories where the movie narration at the end or beginning or both doesn't really have that much to do with the plot, and they try to add it for gravitas or whatever. The fact that the narrator couldn't really even be attached to anyone, in my opinion, I don't know who the narrator is supposed to be. Now, it's okay for us to have a kind of mystery of narrator. I'm not arguing that, but that's just, to me, it's the biggest evidence that most obvious that they really weren't sure what the heck they were doing. Now, maybe they were thinking we'll get to, maybe like the third episode or something will show how exactly narrator is involved in the show and all that. But it's just nothing. Nobody had anything to do with it. Anybody really, except for very, very shallow, superficial. By shallow means. And it is getting a little bit. Well, it's not too late, but that was the main thing I wanted to say, and I think I've already said pretty much everything else I wanted to say. So, KG5BZW, back to that.
I guess it's my turn to talk about characters. Boy, I just couldn't tell them apart. even though they really look alike. And that's the problem with a lot of movies is, everybody seems to resemble each other, and then, if they're not strong characters, you can't tell them apart. This has the potential of having some interesting characters, but they just didn't go anywhere with it. It had a lot of potential good elements, and they just dropped the ball and wasted their efforts. All right, from here on in, where it's almost midnight, so I think we're going to wrap it up. So if you have anything else to say about anything at all regarding this movie, please come now.
KG5P.
KG5P, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, well, I didn't see the movie, and it sounds like maybe that was a good thing, but I did enjoy the discussion, and I think that you and Tom are doing just an excellent job with the net. Somebody mentioned Shub Woolley. Yeah, I came across that Wilhelm Scream. I thought, man, that's a concocted name if there ever was one. But I wasn't aware that Shub Woolley did anything since the Purple People Eater, so that was interesting. So 73 is KG5P.
All right, anybody else? Okay, I think we have euthanized this movie. Tom, do you have anything to talk about for next week? KE5ICX.
Oh, Brenda, yes, I do. We're going to watch the fantastic film, The Beast of Yucca Flats from 1961. No! Yes! You'll love it. The Beast of Yucca Flats, 1961. That's next week. During Moon Day. Oh, and by the way, you can go ahead and, if you would like, join us on Facebook on Afterglow Movie, 2 words, Afterglow and Movie. Or if you would like to join the group, and you've not done so already, and I think you have, send an email to KE5ICX, Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, at yahoo.com, and I'll get you on the list. Just say, I want to join. And that's it from me, KE5ICX.
All right, well, thanks for everybody's participation tonight. I think it was pretty good discussion despite the difficulty of the subject. So we're going to close this out at 23:50. This is WB50ZL.